insignia of golden streaks on his chest. I regret this honor as merely a kind of false prestige for me. You show your real mercy to your devotees, not to me. Of course, you are the supreme absolute controller, and no one can understand your motives. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In many places, the Shastras describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being more inclined towards his devotees than towards his wife, who always remains on his chest. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14, it is stated, Na tatha me atma yoni na sankaha na chay sankar sarno na istir nividitam savidha bhav. Hare Krishna. Plainly, here Krishna plainly says that his devotees are more dear to him than Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshana, the only cause of creation, the godless, the goddess of Brahma, but even his own self. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.20, Sukdev Goswami says,
Prabhu?
yeah, just about reality. They will light off.
Yeah.
It is, you're 24 probably, huh?
Yeah.
Mixed up.
23, Prabhuji.
23.
23 years. Eternal power of. Mati, you can continue if you can do.
Okay, ji.
Okay.
No problem, Prabhuji. So, beginning with the purport. In many
Yeah.
places, should I begin with the purport, Prabhuji?
Yeah, you can begin with the purport.
Okay, ji. In many places, the Shastras describe the Supreme Personality of Godhead as being more inclined toward his devotees than toward his wife, who always remain on his chest. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.14.15, it is stated, Na tatha me pariyatma atma yonir na shankara na cha sankarshano na shrir nav atma cha yatha bhavan. Here Krishna plainly says that his devotees are more dear to him than Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, the original cause of creation, the goddess of fortune, or even his own self. Elsewhere in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.20, Sukadev Goswami says, Neman virincho na bhavo, na shrir api anga samshreya, prasadam lebhire gopi, tatyat parapa vimuktidat. The Supreme Lord who can award liberation to anyone showed more mercy toward the gopis than to Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, or even the goddess of fortune, who is his own wife and is associated with his body. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 10.47.60 also states, Nayam Shariyo Angayu Nitantarate Prasadaha Swar Yoshitam Nalina Gandha Rucham Kuto Anya Rasotsave Asya Bhuja Danda Grihita Kantha Labdhashisham Ya Udgad Vraja Sundrinam. The gopis received benediction from the Lord that neither Lakshmi Devi nor the most beautiful dancers in the heavenly planets could attain. In the Rasa dance, the Lord showed his favor to the most fortunate gopis by placing his arms on their shoulders and dancing with each of them individually. No one can compare with the gopis who received the causeless mercy of the Lord. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that no one can receive the real favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without following in the footsteps of the gopis. Even the goddess of fortune could not receive the same favor as the gopis, although she underwent severe austerities and penances for many years. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu discusses this point with Venkata Bhatt in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 9.111 to 131. The Lord inquired from Venkat Bhatta, your worshipable goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, always remains on the chest of Narayan, and she's certainly the most chaste woman in the creation. However, my Lord is Lord Shri Krishna, a cowherd boy engaged in tending cows. Why is it that Lakshmi, being such a chaste wife, wants to associate with my Lord? Just to associate with Krishna, Lakshmi abandoned all transcendental happiness in Vaikuntha and for a long time accepted vows and regulative principles and performed unlimited austerities. Venkat Bhatta replied, Lord Krishna and Lord Narayan are one and the same, but the pastimes of Krishna are more relishable due to their supportive nature. They are very pleasing for Krishna's Shaktis. Since Krishna and Narayan are both the same personalities, Lakshmi's association with Krishna did not break her vow of chastity. Rather, it was in great fun that the goddess of fortune wanted to associate with Lord Krishna. The goddess of fortune considered that her vow of chastity would not be damaged by her relationship with Krishna. Rather, by associating with Krishna, she could enjoy the benefit of the rasa dance. If she wanted to enjoy herself with Krishna, what fault is there? Why are you joking so about it? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I know that there is no fault in the goddess of fortune, but still, she could not enter into the rasa dance. We hear this from the revealed scriptures. The authorities of Vedic knowledge met Lord Ramchandra in Dandakarnya, and by the authorities of Vedic knowledge met Lord Ramchandra in Dandakarnya, and by their penances and austerities, they were allowed to enter into the rasa dance. But can you tell me why the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, could not get that opportunity? To this, Venkata Bhatt replied, I cannot enter into the mystery of this incident. I am an ordinary living being. My intelligence is limited and I am always disturbed. How can I understand the pastime of Supreme Lord? They are deeper than millions of oceans. Lord Chaitanya replied, Lord Krishna has a specific characteristics. He attracts everyone's heart by the mellow of his personal conjugal love. By following the footsteps of the inhabitants of the planet known as Vrajalok or Golok Vrindavan, one can attain the shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna. However, the inhabitants of that planet do not know that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unaware that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, the residents of Vrindavan, like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Devi, and the gopis treat Krishna as their beloved son or lover. Mother Yashoda accepts him as her son and sometimes binds him to the grinding mortar. Krishna's cowherd boyfriends think he's an ordinary boy and get up on his shoulders. In Golok Vrindavan, no one has any desire other than to love Krishna. The conclusion is that one cannot associate with Krishna unless he has fully received the favor of the inhabitants of Brajbhumi. Therefore, if one wants to be delivered by Krishna directly, he must take to the service of the residents of Vrindavan who are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So now we're talking about more confidential matters. Actually, this verse is almost directly referring to the corresponding verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita, conversation between Lord Chaitanya and Venkat Bhatta. Incidentally, Venkat Bhatta is also the father of Gopal Bhatta Goswami, and he is the brother of Srila Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. So he's like, this is a family of acharyas. Venkat Bhatt and his brothers, then his son, everyone was like, and he himself, they're all acharyas. So this is how we should aim to be. That's the success of family life. Otherwise, it's just a failure. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tatheva bhajamyaham. Mama vartamano vartante manushya partha sarvasha. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pratha. So if you remember our earlier discussions, we have discussed that actually there is no Mahamaya or Yogamaya. There's only Yogamaya. So the way we perceive the energies of the Lord, in that way we can say either they are, they are Mahamaya or it is Yogamaya. It's only one energy in reality. Radharani, I remember hearing it a long time ago, that Radharani in her angry mood is actually Durga Devi. So, I mean, when she's angry with the living entity, not with Krishna. With Krishna, it's a different rasa altogether. That's not related to anything mundane at all. So Krishna is saying here, Na tatha me priyatama, atma yonir na shankara, na cha sankarshano na shrir, na eva atma cha yatha bhavan. So there is no one dear to him, no one dear to him more than his devotees, not even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Sankarshan, or even himself. So ye yatha mam prapadyante. To the degree one surrenders, Krishna reciprocates. And there is no limit to what one can surrender. We see that the last step is Atma Nivedanam. This in the 9th step bhakti process, Atma Nivedanam, complete surrender to the Lord. So Krishna is saying here, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tams tatheva bhajamyaham. So I reciprocate accordingly. I reward accordingly. So of course, if you surrender completely, what does that mean? What does that imply? It implies that Krishna also responds completely. That means Krishna also surrenders completely. That's why when gopis approached Krishna for a benediction, he just said that, there is nothing I can give you. Please be satisfied with yourself. That is Krishna. So in Chaitanya Manjusha, it is said, Aradhyo Bhagavana Vrajesha Tanaya Tad Dhama Vrindavan. That Lord Krishna is worshipable as the son of Nanda and also his land of Vrindavan. Actually, Vrindavan is not different from Krishna. Ramya Kachid Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. So we have discussed this previously also, that Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. So this worship should be in the mood of the gopis of Vrindavan. That is the best. There are many ways. There are many ways of worshipping Krishna. But the worship done by the gopis is considered the best. And that's why Krishna is always surrounded by gopis. We never see Krishna surrounded by demigods. We don't see him surrounded by trees or anything. He's surrounded by gopis. Because gopis, the special love that gopis have for Krishna is very different from all the other varieties of love. And Krishna considers that to be the best. Not to say that other forms of love are inferior, but this is the best. We are comparing the superlatives here. So when we are talking about this pastime of Lakshmi Devi trying to surrender to Krishna, so Venkat Bhatt's explanation was completely correct. That Lakshmi, there is no difference between Narayan and Krishna. So Lakshmi Devi wanted to join this Ras Leela in good humor, because Narayan is Dhira Shant, but Krishna is Lalit Madhav. Krishna is always Lalit. He is always Lalit Madhav. He's always mischievous. He's always in a happy mood. But Narayan is Dhira Shant, very quiet, peaceful. So Lakshmi Devi wanted to enjoy that humor. And therefore she meditated to be a part of this Ras Leela. But she did not get an entry there. Now that was the question that Mahaprabhu put there. So why was she not allowed? That yes, it is all right to understand that she remains chaste when she is serving Krishna, not Narayan. But what went wrong? Why was she still not allowed? That was Mahaprabhu's question. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, I know that there is no fault in the goddess of fortune, but still she could not enter into Rasa dance. So, but can you tell me why the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi, could not get that opportunity? So you see here, what Mahaprabhu is saying. We hear from the revealed scriptures The authorities of Vedic knowledge met Lord Ramchandra and Dandakaranya, and by their penances and austerities, they were allowed to enter into rasa dance. So great sages, the authorities of Vedic scriptures, they were allowed, but Lakshmi Devi herself was not. How is that even possible? I mean, Saraswati Devi. Saraswati is just an expansion of Lakshmi. And these great sages are, they are followers of Saraswati. They were allowed entry into rasa dance, but not Lakshmi Devi herself. So that is the great mystery which Mahaprabhu is asking from Venkat Bhatta. So Venkat Bhatt is explaining that he cannot explain, I cannot enter into the mystery of this incident. I am an ordinary living being. My intelligence is limited and I am always disturbed. How can I understand the pastimes of the Supreme Lord? They are deeper than millions of oceans. I mean, ocean is on average around 2 to 3, 4 kilometers deep. So millions of oceans. So you can see that much depth, and even then that is like inestimable. So Mahaprabhu then gives this very nice explanation here. Lord Krishna has a specific characteristic. He attracts everyone's heart by the mellow of his personal conjugal love. Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Ya Kalpita. So the mood of Gopi, love of gopis. So it's not just the gopis, the gopas, the animals, the plants. Everyone in Vrindavan has a similar mood. Gopis are in Madhurya, others are in Dasya Shant, Dasya Ras or Vatsalya Bhav or Sakhya Bhav. But the mood remains the same. Now here we must understand the subtle distinction. What is the difference between the Vaikuntha mood and the mood of Golok? The difference lies in the degree of love that is expressed. If you remember the very beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, those of you who studied with us, when we were doing it earlier, when we were doing it last year, the first chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, the reasons of appearance of Lord Chaitanya. So there also it is explained very clearly that the Lord is thinking to himself. I mean, Krishna is one, he is Narayan, he is everything. So he's thinking that the love which is mixed with the mood of awe and reverence does not please me as much as the unalloyed love of the gopis and Golok. They consider me to be one of their own. There is no reverence there. Krishna is just a lovely boy. They just love him. They have no other desire. They have literally no other desire than to love Krishna. The whole objective of Golok Vrindavan is to just love Krishna. And this Bhauma Vrindavan, the Vrindavan that we see near Delhi, that Vrindavan is identical to Golok Vrindavan. In fact, those who have perfected their lives in Vrindavan, they directly enter into Golok. They don't have to pass through the layers of universe or anything. This Vrindavan directly transforms into Golok. They don't have to go anywhere. We see this from the story of Susharma in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. That in that very place where they are sitting, that itself transforms to Golok. Therefore, we also think that that we can think that Golok is actually a state of consciousness. It is not a place where we go somewhere. We can't estimate how many million kilometers. It's a state of mind. It's a state of consciousness. So Golok Vrindavan, so the last sentence, Mahaprabhu is summarizing it all. In Golok Vrindavan, no one has any desire other than to love Krishna. This is pure love. There is no worship of Krishna. In Golok, no one is worshipping Krishna. The boys are sometimes fighting with him. The gopis are chastising him. If you read Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you'll see that gopis are chastising him why he's so late for Ras dance. Or sometimes they're just making fun of him. Sometimes they dress him up as a girl. And they're doing all kinds of things. You can't imagine doing that with Narayana. So that's the degree, that's the Venuma, that's the Madhurya of Krishna. These are the four qualities of Krishna which distinguish him from Narayana. And that's why Krishna, then we can say conclusively that Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. He is the fountainhead of all other incarnations. So Ramya Kachit Upasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Kalpita. So that mood, complete mood of surrender. So in that surrender, the only thing that is left is love. You have no other thoughts, no feelings. The only obsession is Krishna, morning and night. There is no other thought. So in that mood, the living entity then enters into Golok. So unless one has cultivated that mood, one will not be able to enter Vrindavan. So so the conclusion is that one cannot associate with Krishna unless he has fully received the favor of the inhabitants of Brajabhumi. So, well, if you study deeper and deeper, you'll also realize that Srila Prabhupada also mentions it actually in Nectar of Devotion, that after you have perfected your sadhana bhakti, you are given a chance to take birth in a holy place. So you take birth in Mayapur or Vrindavan, and there you stay with devotees because that land is Krishna's own land. So one should not think that Mayapur is in Bengal or Mathura is in UP. They are transcendent. They are identical. They are like, staging posts. From there you enter into Vaikuntha directly. That's why when you go to Vrindavan or when you go to Mayapur, you feel so much peace. Even though from a mundane perspective, these towns are not very significant. I mean, Vrindavan is small, noisy, crowded. Mayapur is very undeveloped, somewhere far off, so difficult to reach there. But when you reach there, it is it feels like it is worth your life itself. So when you go there and when you have perfected your life, you're given a place to participate in the Lord's pastimes there. That's like apprenticeship, and then you are given an entry directly into Krishna's abodes. So, and in Nectar of Devotion, and Srila Prabhupada explains that you're not given direct entry into Vaikuntha like that. There you are placed under the care of a senior devotee of Krishna. And that devotee trains you in your particular service. Because you've been in material world for so long. So you are again trained back to your original consciousness. And that's the way one goes back to Godhead. So that is the process. But the mood is always the same, complete surrender. So as we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela also, that's the reason actually why we worship Lord Chaitanya. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami explains that in this age of Kali, one can never worship Krishna. Krishna is simply too exalted. But one can worship Lord Chaitanya. So anyone who thinks he can attain Krishna without having worshipped Chaitanya, he's actually a fool, number one. So everything that we know is coming from Mahaprabhu. So if you have perfected your worship of Mahaprabhu in Mayapur Dham, you are already as good as a resident of Golok. Because Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nahi Anya. Mahaprabhu is not teaching anything different from what Radha and Krishna are teaching. But Mahaprabhu's love is very easily accessible. Not so of Radha and Krishna. Because we cannot be in that spontaneous mood. So conclusion is that one cannot associate Krishna unless he has fully received the favor. So that means one has to receive the shelter of a Brajavasi. Brajavasi means one who is an ideal son of Vrindavan. And in our lives, we are already fortunate. Now you may think, who will guide us? So we are already very fortunate. Srila Prabhupada was considered the best son of Vrindavan. So if you have taken shelter of Srila Prabhupada, you already have that shelter. You don't need to seek it anywhere else. You don't need some Babaji from Vrindavan to teach you some mysteries of love. No, Srila Prabhupada has already given it. One of Prabhupada's disciples was Suhotra Swami, His Holiness Suhotra Swami. He wrote a book once. So around 80s and 90s, there was a trend that many devotees were leaving ISKCON and going to these Babajis in Vrindavan. So because, there was like a rumor that Prabhupada did not give us any ras. Prabhupada just talks about sadhana and Siddhanta and there's nothing else. But Suhotra Swami explained very beautifully. He said, Srila Prabhupada has given us everything. He wrote a book to explain the mysteries of deepest love of Radha and Krishna from Srila Prabhupada's books. He said, everything is here. Everything. You don't need to look anywhere outside. Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. You take these 5 books and you know all the mysteries of Vrindavan. There's nothing left. Srila Prabhupada gave completely everything. So therefore that is, so you see, so it's simple but not easy. Because our hearts are not simple. We are always egoistic. We want to do bhakti in our own terms. But Vraj Bhakti or this, Vrajavadhu Bhakti, this is in the mood of complete surrender. Whatever Krishna, Rakhe bhi mare bhi jo ichha toha, Nitya dasa pati tuya adhikar. This is the mood of gopis, complete surrender. So this is the mood of the gopis, this is the mood of Braj. So if one wants to worship Krishna, one can simply do it. You don't need to go to Vrindavan to do it. You can do it in your own apartment. Just try to cultivate. Just study Prabhupada's books and meditate deeply. What is your objective of life? If your objective is not Krishna, you make it. You change your objective. Just today, the lecture I shared, Keshavan Prabhu's lecture, he was saying the same thing. That to think that Krishna consciousness is a duty, and just like others, that is an offense actually. That's Asuri Bhava. Krishna consciousness is life. We have duties. Wife, children, home, job. These are duties. But Krishna consciousness is life. That is what we are. Krishna consciousness is not a duty. In the beginning, one may think like this. But when one has already taken initiation, then one should understand that Krishna consciousness is life. All the rest are just our duties. The dharma is not duty. Dharma means character, consciousness. So one must take to the service of the residents of Vrindavan who are unalloyed devotees of the Lord. And we are fortunate that we are direct disciples. We are coming directly in the line of pure Brajvasi. Srila Prabhupada is pure Brajvasi. When Prabhupada came back from America, and the Goswamis of Vrindavan, the resident Goswamis who are living there, they all came to meet Prabhupada. And then they proclaimed that actually Srila Prabhupada is the real son of Vrindavan. So you see, we already have that shelter. So all these descriptions that we are seeing here, the mood of Vrindavan, how to approach it, all that is given in the process given by Srila Prabhupada. So just chant your 16 rounds, read Prabhupada's books, and you will definitely attain this. Prabhupada guarantees it. Prabhupada said, you follow these rules, I will take you back to Godhead. And for back to Godhead, Prabhupada doesn't mean Vaikuntha, he means Golok Vrindavan. Hare Krishna. Is any questions or comments?
Beautiful, beautiful, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
I've got registered. We also read it, Prabhuji. But these texts are so deep, it requires an enlightened person to explain this. Thank you very much. In fact, we're missing. Another 2-3 texts also. We would have been happy to have your guidance.
Okay, we can continue, not to worry. I mean, we can take maybe 2 verses now, because next one doesn't have any purport. We can take one more. Okay. 24. So one thing I would like to say at this stage is, Prabhu, there is no rocket science here. It's all very simple. Bhakti is very simple. But the only problem is that our hearts are not simple.
Yes, so that is the main problem. I won't say, Prabhu, it's not simple. It's so contaminated that we think everything is materialistic angle.
Yeah.
And that takes the total flair of the devotion.
Yes. See, I'm telling all these things, but I'm not that I'm myself some pure devotee or anything. I have so many material aspirations and desires. But that's the point, just follow Srila Prabhupada. Gradually, this curtain of illusion will be gone. But follow, as Prabhupada is saying directly, and you will see very soon how this works. Try to make Krishna the objective of life. Everything else we have to do, yes. I mean, we have to eat roti in the morning, we have to drink water. So Krishna is also like that. We have to worship Krishna. So Krishna is not like that. Krishna is life. This chanting, this reading, this is our life. This is our real objective. Everything else is just here to support these activities. So at least if we start thinking, that's a good starting point. So, Hare Krishna. So we take this text 24. Ramyake cha bhagavatah priyatamam matsyam avatara rupam tadvarsha.
Ramyake cha bhagavatah priyatamam matsyam avatara rupam tadvarsha.
Purushasya manoh prak pradarshitam sa idanim api mahata bhakti yogen aradhyatam chodaharati.
Purushasya mano prag pradarshitam sa idanim api mahata bhakti yogen naradhyat idam choda aharati.
Shukadeva Goswami continued. In Ramyak Varsh, where Vaivasvat Manu rules, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared as Lord Matsya at the end of last era, the Chakshusha Manvantar. The Vaivasvat Manu now worships Lord Matsya in pure devotional service and chants the following mantra. So, Ramyak Varsh, so you see, the story of, like, we see the biblical stories of the biblical flood. We read about Noah's story. We read about the story of Adam and Eve. These are all real stories. But because people have limited intelligence, they do not understand that there is much more to it. So this biblical flood is, like we see the appearance of Matsya Avatar. So that takes place at the change of Manvantar. It is not Pralay. It's just a change of Manvantar. So that's also the time when there is a flood. So in Bible, it is explained that there is just one flood. It destroys everything. But in Bhagavatam, we understand that there are many floods which come and go. And Lord takes always such opportunities to enact some more beautiful pastimes. So this pastime actually comes in the later canto. I think it comes in 11th canto or something. It's Matsya Avatar. We're going to see that also. Text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Mukhyatmaya Namah Sattvaya Pranaya Ojase Sahase Balaya Mahamatsyaya Nama iti.
Om Namo Bhagavate Mukhyatmaya Namah
Sattvaya Pranaya
Pranaya
Ojase Sahase Balaya Mahamatsyaya Nama iti.
Yeah, would you like to read?
I read.
Yes.
Hare Krishna. Translation proposed by Shri Vajpayee. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Supreme Personality Godhead with pure transcendence. He is the origin of all life, bodily strength, material mental power, and sensory ability. Known as Matsya, the genetic fish incarnation, he appears first among all the incarnations. Again, I offer my obeisances unto him. He goes, Jaydev Goswami sings, Pralayo Padhyo Jade Dhartiva Asi Vidam Vivite Vahitra Kantrim Aksadam Keshavdhaita Manisir Jaya Jai Jagadish. Soon after the cosmic creation, the entire universe was inundated with the water. At the time, Lord Krishna, Keshav, incarnated as the genetic fish to protect the Vedas. Therefore, Manu addressed Lord Mat as Mukhya, the first incarnation of the fish, are generally considered a mixture of the modes of ignorance and passion. But we must understand that every incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is completely transitional. There is never any deterioration of the Supreme Lord's original transitional quality. Therefore, the Supreme Lord, the word Satya is used, meaning pure goodness, on the transitional platform. There are many incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Vara Murti, the both form. Kurma Murti, the terrorist form. Harikarva Murti, the form of a horse, and so on. Yet we should never think any of them material. They are all always situated in the platform of Suddha Sattva, more transcendence. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So he is the origin of all life, bodily strength, mental power, and sensory ability. Known as Matsya Avatar, the gigantic fish incarnation, he appears first among all the incarnations. There's a very interesting pastime here, actually. This takes place somewhere around 1900. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had an interview with a British professor. I think it was somebody, I don't know. He was a great critic of Vedic culture. He was a great critic of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So he came there to refute Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and show how the Vedic scriptures are some wild, gigantic, some kind of wild imagination, some kind of sentimental nonsense, and how Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is just a sentimentalist. And he came there to establish the superiority of British culture and Bible over the Vedic scriptures. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur he blew him away. So there's a book called Array of Vishnu. So there you can read this interview actually. I mean, you can read it, but it's like practically impossible to understand what is being spoken. It is so difficult. The language in which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke, first of all, even that was very difficult for the professor to understand. Because Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur spoke in the highest form of English grammar. It was very difficult. And this professor was literally blown away. He couldn't understand what Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was speaking. And yet he could understand that he is speaking very advanced English. So he was dazzled by him. And then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur started explaining how Darwin's theory is actually just a derivative of the Vedic scriptures. So he explained how Matsya avatar is followed by Kurma by Varaha. So he explained that this is the evolution of species from aquatic to semi-aquatic to mammalian. In this way, how the species evolve. So this evolution is not of the body, but actually of the consciousness. And Lord himself displays it. So, I mean, I'm just putting it very simply. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's language is very difficult to understand. If you want, one day I can send you that interview and you can read it yourself. So by the end of it, the professor had actually offered obeisances to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So that was the position. So this one thing we have to understand here is that these forms of the Lord, Matsya, Kurma, Meena, these forms, Meena, Matsya, Kurma, and Varaha, these forms are not lacking in the qualities of the Lord. They are completely transcendental forms. They are manifestation of only some qualities of the Lord. Like Matsya is very beautiful. By looking at Matsya avatar, one can understand that he is the Supreme Lord. But he appears as a fish. As a fish, he behaves like a fish. He's just swimming around. He's just happy to be swimming. He's not, but then he's the protector of the Vedas. Likewise, as Varahadev, he's the protector of universe and earth. In fact, from that pastime, Narakasur is born. And from there, the pastime of Krishna's queens also comes. So all these pastimes, Krishna is just engaging in different pastimes. So sometimes we may see the Supreme Court judge driving a car, but we don't say that he's now a driver. No, he's still the Supreme Court judge. He's just displaying one character. Sitting in the steering wheel of the car, he's not going to speak the tenets of law, but he's just going to drive the car. But that doesn't mean that he has become a driver. He remains very much the Supreme Court judge. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
Yeah.
why the word Keshava is used? At that time, Lord Krishna, Keshava, incarnated as gigantic fish. Prabhupada ji Lord Krishna लिख के भी छोड़ सकते थे. Why specifically mention Keshava?
Because here it is used Keshava Dhrita Meena Sharira Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So Jayadev Goswami is using this word. So Prabhupada is simply repeating it.
Oh, okay, ji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Keshava. Remember Arjun says, "Oh Keshav."
Keshava.
Oh, husband of the goddess of fortune.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, I mean, this is a very nice question that you have asked. Keshava, because the context here starts with Lakshmi Devi. If you remember the previous verses, we were talking about the benediction of Lakshmi Devi, and then we were talking about how Krishna is saying that even Lakshmi is not so dear to him as the pure devotee.
Ji.
So the word Keshava here is very appropriate in that sense. It fits the poetic flow of this conversation.
True. ठीक है जी.
So you see, if you dive very deeply into Srimad Bhagavatam, if you try to understand, there is unlimited beauty in it. And if you become attracted by that beauty somehow, you should understand that your liberation has already started. So, dive very deeply into Bhagavatam. Try to understand the meanings. Try to look for the beauty here, Try to see the beautiful flow of Bhagavatam. And then you will see Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
But these different avatars, and in which Yuga Deva.
Matsya avatar is in the very beginning. I think it's around Satyug because it's the beginning of Manvantara. So Yuga cycle always begins with Satyug. But this is taking place on the platform of a Ramyak verse. So Vaivasvat Manu rules there. So this is very beginning. This is at the beginning of Satyug. So when the Manvanta
Yes.
cycle is changing,
Sometimes
I
can we
mean-
get some feedback on these things, some detailed explanation? Can you give whenever convenient?
yeah, actually we are going to study the pastime of Matsya Avatar himself. So there this will be described in great detail. Now, one important point here is one.
Okay, it starts with Matsya Avatar, and all others will come subsequently.
Yeah, but this is cyclical. So Krishna is before Matsya, Matsya is before Krishna. So one thing we must understand here is, Prabhupada is not emphasizing the chronology of Bhagavatam because sometimes these pastimes are taking place in different manvantars, in different yugas, and yugas themselves are like nothing, literally. Like we are having Bhagavatam at 6:30 p.m. here, Finland time. So
Yeah.
6:30 p.m. Yesterday was also 6:30 p.m. Tomorrow will also be 6:30 p.m. So it's
And
not really important.
I got your point of view. And different universes also.
Yeah. Sometimes, but mainly it is this universe, this Bhagavatam.
Acha, Bhagavatam is covering all this.
Yeah.
Any idea
This universe.
what about
Yeah.
other universes? Because must be. Anyway.
No, because one more thing is, Prabhu, that this universe itself is like practically inestimable for us. This universe
That's
itself is so gigantic.
Yes, that's right. That Milky Way, we do not know how much is there.
Yeah. So Hayagriva also we're going to study. Hayagriva is described also, I think that comes in the 11th canto, very short description. 9th, 11th, somewhere around that, towards the later cantos. But Hayagriva is like, he saved the Vedas, he went down to Patal Lok and he retrieved the Vedas. That is
They got a
Hayagriva.
description, a large description there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
He is a demon, he's the enemy of Mura. So
And his brother continued to be alive for thousands of years because he was the grandfather of Purana Maharaj.
yes. So so this is mainly like Vaivasvat Manu. There is going to be Chakshusha Manu also. We're going to read other Manus also. But we are like essentially discussing the tales of one family. So this could be the objective of a Grahastha, maybe. To have a Grahastha life like that.
We more wiser people did not get married and had the family.
Yes.
And probably it's a very enlightening topic. And more we try to understand it, more inside we try to get.
Yeah, the more you love Bhagavatam, the more you are on the path of liberation. Because,
Right.
We are driven by what we love. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. Whatever bhava we cultivate, that takes us. So if our bhav is to love Krishna, love Bhagavatam, then that is transcendental bhav. So it is not mundane. To love Bhagavatam is not mundane, it's transcendental. So if you love Bhagavatam, you are definitely on a transcendental plane. So you just have to push a little harder and attain the love of Krishna. So this Mataji is asking about Hayagriva incarnation. So his horse incarnation. So knowledge was stolen by this demon Mura, and Hayagriva, the Lord appeared as Hayagriva and he retrieved this knowledge and gave it to Brahmaji. So we're going to read about him. So it's not a very significant incarnation in that sense that not much is described by the Shastras, because he just retrieved the Vedas and gave them back. He did not give too many instructions or anything. Okay, so we stop here today then. Tomorrow we'll continue with 26 onwards and we'll go on and on.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure. So thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
pranam.
Dandavat pranam ji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna. Pranam. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Dandavat